Coming up on Mountain News this morning, families are assessing the damage left behind by yesterday's storms while Kentucky prepares for more this weekend. Plus, it's important to check in on those suffering from PTSD caused by the July 2022 flood that wrecked eastern Kentucky.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is finally Friday, Mountain family. My name's Amelia Lee. The day is February 7th, so 1 week into February, and the time is 6:01. It's also time to check on in with meteorologist Megan Dusmal. And Megan, thank you so much for keeping us up to date as we've been going through this severe weather on these first alert weather days. And I know today you've been saying that we'll have kind of a break from some of those storms, but I know folks are thinking at home, what's going to happen this weekend? How can I prepare myself for the days to come?
Yes, that's a very valid question. We have more storms as we're heading into Saturday, but yes, we do have a break for today. There's some good news. We'll see that sun come out. Temperatures will be cooler today, but we will warm up once more as we're heading to Saturday. Now let's take a look at satellite and radar. This is a 3-hour loop. You can see the remainder of that rain that pushed out of our area. Now we are looking nice and calm, seeing those clouds even taper out as we're heading through the next couple of hours. Now, for today, again, we're going to see those sunny skies, but another chance of rain will pick up as you're heading into the late evening hours, around that 8 o'clock hour, towards our westerly counties and move through with those storms. Now, we'll be seeing those storm chances mostly pick up as we're heading into Saturday night into Sunday. Let's talk about temperatures as you're heading out the door, though. Temperatures will be in the upper 30s and low 40s, warming up into the low 50s to mid 50s throughout today. Here's what you can expect for the next couple hours, seeing those temperatures warm up as you're heading towards 4 o'clock today, and the clouds ramping up as you're heading into the afternoon. Amelia.
All right, thank you, Megan. Well, several homes were damaged, trees knocked down, and electricity cut off in parts of Rockcastle County. The National Weather Service wrapped up a survey of that area yesterday. They confirmed that a tornado did touch down. WYMT's Phil Pendleton reports.
All I know is it was thundering and lightning.
It was not a welcome wake-up call for Virginia Phoenix and her family.
And I felt dirt hit me, and I screamed out, and I got up, and my husband said, honey said, there's a tornado coming.
The twister took off part of the roof, knocked down trees, and flattened a barn.
Maybe we can get some friends and other people, come out, maybe help us pick up the pieces.
People have a lot of repairs to make, a lot of things to clean up. Some do not have insurance, and they're not really sure where they're going to go as far as repairing their homes, but they are very thankful that it was not any worse. The National Weather Service confirms it was a tornado. They're still surveying damage in other places, but believe the same system also went into Jackson and Owsley counties.
Unfortunately, in the wintertime, even though we just had a really cold spell, we've had snow lately, we can still get some pretty stout systems that move through in the wintertime.
Just a couple scratches.
Mark Gaylord was hurt when a window shattered just as he was walking by it.
I was just getting out of bed, and my girlfriend was hollering at me, and by the time I got up, it all happened so quick.
Over the ridge there, on the other side of this house, it was picked up and moved off of its foundation. Not by a lot, but by enough.
Which has a lot of people saying enough winter already. In Rockcastle County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The storm also knocked out electricity, but a Jackson Energy spokesman says by this afternoon it had all been restored. Severe weather also ripped through Owsley County yesterday, leaving a trail of damage. One woman now has nothing left to call home. She says she could hear loud sirens as she felt the wind pushing her home several feet from where it usually sat. She was inside as the roof collapsed, but managed to get out with just a few bruises. Casey Berghart says she would usually have slept in, but is thankful that did not happen.
I sleep pretty sound, but thank God I was awake already and, had been awake for a while. I just couldn't sleep this morning for some reason. I guess this is the reason, I couldn't for the life of me, and I was so frustrated about that, not being able to sleep. But I guess this is the reason why.
She says this traumatizing event was over within minutes, but it still managed to take all she has. She's thankful to be alive and that her 2 children were at school when it happened. For some of us, this week's storms might bring up bad memories from previous years. The July 2022 flood that swept through eastern Kentucky is still a fresh wound, causing anxiety and PTSD for victims during severe weather. WYMT's McKinley Calandrino talked to a flood victim.
The 2022 July flood is a time many folks in eastern Kentucky will never forget. Sounds and sights cemented into the memories of many.
But it's amazing how something so pretty can be so devastating.
Many roles go into natural catastrophes, and floods can have an impact on mental health. High levels of stress, anxiety, and PTSD. These can all be common in those that have experienced destruction of flooding, such as Knott County resident Dylan Cornett and his family, who were heavily impacted in 2022. They now see storms differently.
It's really stressful, really, when you got to talk to a child about something that may happen to them that you can't control.
Dylan's mother-in-law's house was completely washed away from the flood, and their property was rushed with running water from the creek. The disaster leaves his family in fear of bad weather, but the kids were affected the worst. When one day they walked in the kitchen to tell their parents, it was a hard decision.
It was like, it was a hard decision. And we was like, what was a hard decision? And they said, choosing what was most important to us in case the next time it floods. And they was 11 and 12 at the time.
Adult psychiatrist Dr. Fazal says, you are not alone.
You don't have to act strong, because you will be strong if you're seeking help and reaching out. That is the strength in this case.
He says reach out to people close to you, the community, and local resources. Uncontrollable flooding, destruction, and loved ones lost, but a community built on support, which he says might be far more important than medication or what medical professionals can do. And if Dylan had $1 for every crawdad he caught out of his creek when he was little,
I could have donated a couple $100,000 probably when that flood happened.
In Knott County, McKinley Calandrino, WYMT Mountain News.
ARH has mental health sources available like counseling and patient services if you or someone you know is experiencing trauma. Governor Andy Beshear answered a question during Kentucky's Team Kentucky briefing about a high-profile shooting in London. An officer shot and killed Doug Harless in December while trying to serve a late-night warrant at his home. Governor Beshear called the situation tragic and says it appears to have been preventable or avoidable. However, he said he cannot talk too much about it while Kentucky State Police continue to investigate.
They fall under the Justice Cabinet, which falls under me, so I want to be careful about offering too many comments because I want to make sure that when the Kentucky State Police makes their findings, that they are viewed with the credibility that they should be.
Following Harless's death, the London community hosted several Justice for Doug marches, demanding accountability from city officials and justice for Harless's death. During his Team Kentucky update, Governor Andy Beshear announced he signed House Bill 1. Beshear says House Bill 1 is a tax break for Kentuckians. He says he signed the bill on Thursday morning because of a booming economy. Governor Beshear says he'll bring up key legislation during his briefings, and he'll break them down into bills in 3 categories: bills that are good for families, bills that are bad for people, and bills that are bizarre.
I promised you that I'll fight for Kentuckians, that regardless of what's going on in D.C., I'll do my best for you to pay those bills at the end of the month and to build a brighter future.
He says this will reduce state income tax. Beshear says he supports the bill, and so do both Democrats and Republican lawmakers. But he also says the tax cut will reduce the funds coming into state coffers by $718 million annually. All 3 branches of government were present on Thursday in Frankfort to celebrate Black History Month. Governor Beshear and Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman were alongside members of the Kentucky Black Caucus in the Capitol Rotunda. During yesterday's ceremony, lawmakers recognized African American lawmakers and the work they do for Kentucky. Senator Gerald Neal spoke, reaffirming that Black history is both American history and Kentucky history.
So when we reaffirm black history and we say black history is, as the governor said, Kentucky history, and we say is American history, we mean it. There's no separation for us. It's very important that each of us take this seriously, and when someone reacts to that and suppresses that and does not use that as an opportunity to bring us together and move forward, then I got a problem. And you should have a problem.
Composer Florence B. Price was also recognized with a performance of one of her pieces.
As you're heading out of the door in the next couple of minutes, here's what you need to know. First of which, one of these days that you don't need a raincoat. There's some good news, right? So as we look outside of the door this morning, we do have those warmer temperatures as well, but we are looking nice and calm in terms of rain today. So again, the raincoat is not a necessity today, but you might need a jacket as you're heading out this morning because those temperatures are a little bit on the cooler side in the upper 30s and low 40s. But as we head into the afternoon, we will be much cooler than yesterday. We're talking low 50s to mid 50s, seeing some mid to upper 40s as you're heading towards Wise, Moorhead, and Logan. So again, you'll need that jacket today, not a winter coat and not a rain jacket, as we're not going to see those rain chances until we're heading into the late evening hours around that 8 o'clock mark. Here's what we're looking on satellite and radar, just watching those clouds as they're moving through. Maybe a slight drizzle as you're heading towards our Tennessee counties this morning, but overall nice and calm. Here's what you can expect for the next 12 hours. We're going to see lots of sunshine as we're heading through the midday and early afternoon hours, starting to see those clouds roll into eastern Kentucky this evening. Amelia.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. The deadline for federal workers to take a buyout from the president was extended again. But for some, is the offer even worth it?